Hey guys, Figurecraft here. Sorry about that. This is part 2. I got a phone call that came through and it canceled the record. Don't you just hate that when that happens? But it is what it is. But anyway, after you've done that, you would attach this thrust block down to the engine room floor. But what I was talking about, before you would attach the engine room down to, or the thrust block down to the engine room floor, you would have to put this little teeny weeny tiny elbow pipe right there. Let me get these cover off the tweezers so I can point it out. Little tiny elbow pipe right there. You would have to put that on, and then you would attach this down to the engine room floor. And then you would secure it down with 2 EP screws. After you got that done, then it would take you to this part. It would tell you then to put the lubrication pump down to the engine room floor. And then you would secure it down with a FP screw. An FP screw would secure that down. After you have that done, it would then take you right back here. This little thing sticking up right here. This big old tall looking bracket thing, whatever that thing is. I'm not sure what that is. It doesn't tell you. It doesn't tell you. But that cylinder looking piece, it would tell you to attach that to the engine room floor. Then after you've done that, it would tell you to take this pipe right here, which feeds into the engine. And then it would tell you to put that down to the engine room floor. And then after that, your last piece that it would tell you to put down to the engine room floor would be this little teeny weeny tiny piece right here. That thing is very tiny. But it would tell you to put that down. After you got all that done, you would have both of your thrust blocks and both your pumps down to your engine room floor. And then the last thing that it would tell you to do would then be a little pressure gauge right here. It would tell you to glue this pressure gauge on top at the very last. Let me tilt you up. Adjust the camera. There. This little pressure gauge right here sticking up on top. It would tell you to put that on for your last step. After it done that, then it would take you back to the engine. So after you got that done, you'd be going back to the engine, and then your first step of going back to the engine would be taking this gangway and securing the gangway in place. So after you got the gangway in place, then I turn the page right here and I'll go to the next steps. After you got the gangway in place, then it would tell you to take this piece right here. Let me get you turned up here. Okay. Then it would have you to take this piece right here that hangs down. These, I'm not really sure what those are. Let me see if I can figure out for you what they are. They're called 34W. The valve control rods. They're called valve control rods. And then it would have you to attach that, and then you would take the other side of that pipe and fasten it in to the valve control rods. That pipe that would go around the engine, matching, just like the other one over there. After you got those in, then your last piece that it would tell you to put in would be the reversing gear right here. It would tell you to put this reversing gear right here in place. That reversing gear right there. And then that would end off issue 34. And then when you went to issue 35, this one was a whole different take on things. Because this was building the gearbox. So I'm going to try my best to figure out how to show you the gearbox. Let me move this. Because the gearbox is attached down to the engine room floor. So let me try setting that there. Alright. Okay, here's our gearbox. So the first thing, you would have basically the interior of the gearbox. You would basically be putting a whole lot of gears inside of this box, and you would put the shafts inside, and then you would take a lubrication that they gave you, and then you would lubricate your gears. After that was done, you would then fasten this thing together with 7 EP screws. So in order to show you that, I'll have to show you the book, because I can't show you the inside of that. So the book, basically you would have a skeleton like this. And then you would put your rods in the gearbox. And then you would start putting your gears into the gearbox. And then go into the next page. me get this here. Once you went to your next page, let's phone up. You would then attach more gears, and then you would attach some more gears here, and then you would have that much of the gears done, and then it would tell you to do the lubricant. And then you would basically use the lubricant and lubricate your gears. Just like so, you would lubricate every single gear. Then you would put the housing over top the gearbox. And then, like I said, oh, CP screws, my bad. I said EP, my bad. But, or no, I said AP. But you would secure it down with 7 CP screws. And then after you have secured it down with 7 CP screws, it would tell you to, you know, take a rod and test it and all that good stuff. But that would be the end of issue 35. And then it would take you to issue 36. Which when we got to issue 36, it was a whole lot of fun. Because this involved getting your engines down to the engine room floor. But before that, the first thing that it would focus you on is building the steam turbine. So you would have this piece of the steam turbine, and then you would have these 2 cylinders. And you would have to take some screws into these cylinders, put the pieces on, and fasten these 2 pieces down with some screws. And those screws were AP screws. 4 AP screws. 2 here, 2 here. After those were done, then you would take these pipe sections, and you would snap these 2 pipe sections together to form these shapes, and then you would fasten these pipes into the steam turbine. And then that right there is where you would have your steam turbine built. But we don't put this down to the model yet. But in the next shipment coming, I mean quite literally, the next issue will be going in. We will be attaching this thing. But after you have done that, then it would take you through a whole lot of things. But the first thing that it would have you to do is extend your engine room floor. So you would take this long black piece right here. And it's up here. Right here where you see this crack, there would be AP screws that would have to go here. There's like 3 AP screws that go here. I want to make sure that they're AP, so hang on a minute. Are they AP? Or yeah, they're AP. 3 AP screws. And then you would basically screw this part onto the engine room floor, extending out your engine room floor. After you have got the engine room floor extended out, it would, let me get you over here. It would take you through a whole lot of checks of checking your engine, making sure everything's working, everything's okay. It would be talking to you about checking the alignment of the flywheel. And then once that was a go, let me set you back over here to the engine. Once that was a go, then it would focus you on putting down your engines to the engine room floor. And you would secure those to the engine room floor underneath with 4, I think it was 4 AP screws on each side of the engine at the bottom. But yeah, you would basically finally attach your engines down to the engine room floor. And let me see here. EM screws, my bad, EM. 4 EM screws on each side. A total of 8 EM screws. 4 EM screws underneath this one. 4 EM screws under that one. Then after you got those in place, the last thing it would tell you to do after they were in place, and you would insert your metal rods through these thrust blocks and into your engines and make sure they're in there. The last thing that it would tell you to make sure to do on both sides of the engines are these little tiny pipes that flow into the engine. It would tell you to take a pair of tweezers and fasten these little tiny pipes into the engine in place on both sides. That's what it would tell you to do. That would be your very last step to do. Basically right here. It would tell you that. That would be your last step. And that would end off your issue 36. And then when you got to issue 37, once again, this is another one I'll have to show you in the book because it's inside there. But when you got to issue 37, let me zoom this out. when you got to issue 37, it would tell you to take your motor for your gearbox. And it would tell you to make sure that the red wire is on the left and the black wire is on the right. After you have made sure of that, it would then tell you, right here, it would then tell you to thread the wire through the back housing. Then it would tell you to attach the back housing. Then you would feed another piece through the bottom. And then you would attach it with 4 AP screws. And then you would have that much of the gearbox and motor done. Basically, you would have this right here completed, but not attached to the engine room floor yet. You wouldn't attach this until you get to issue 38. So that's what you would do. And let me look here, make sure I didn't miss nothing, because I'm thinking I did. Which, if I did, well, no, maybe I didn't. Maybe it tells you to put that on issue 38. Let's look. I'm trying to remember if when this was attached. I think it's issue 38 when that was attached. Let me look. No, this was attached in, I think, hang on a minute here. I forgot to go over this. That piece right there. Oh, boy. My bad. That was most likely attached in 35. Was it 35 or 36? Hang on a minute here, guys. I forgot to go over that. Okay, 36. It would tell you to put that right there down in 36. I forgot about that. Sorry about that. That's my bad. After that was done, then you would move on to issue 38, the last issue. And it would tell you to check your alignment of your engines, make sure they're good and all that. And then it would have you to fasten this thing down to the engine room floor, matching these D-shaped rods to go into the D-shaped holes in the gearbox, while feeding this metal bar under the mount for the turbine, the steam turbine. And then after that, it would tell you then to do the test and put it in the ahead position to see your engines, working. And then it would tell you to put it in the astern position to see that the engines are working in the astern position. It would tell you to do all of that. Then it told you after your test was done and all that and you were satisfied with it, it would tell you to then unhook all of the components and then store them away. And I'll do this for the end of this video just to show you. This is just going to be a dry fit. This will not be inserted on here yet. But the dry fit, it looks like that. That's the dry fit of the steam turbine attached to the engines. But that's going to do it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed this Shipment 7 review. And you all have a blessed one. And when I come back, should be hopefully tomorrow. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be doing an unboxing of Shipment 8. Because it's supposed to come in tomorrow. Hopefully. If not, it will be Tuesday. But I'm really hoping for tomorrow. But until then, you all have a blessed one. And goodbye.